So guys, do you like your own company?
Yeah. Yes, very much so.
Why?
It's peaceful.
And if you're in silence, what does that feel like? Like, how does it affect time and space?
I think, do you know what? I think silence makes everything slow.
Really?
The only way I can describe it is like, in an exam, it's quiet.
Yeah.
There's pressure, but every time you're looking at the clock, it's like only a minute has passed.
Yeah.
And a whole hour feels like you've been there for weeks. But I think a lot of noise, I don't know, it brings a lot of confusion. It makes everything heightened, and that can make everything feel like it's going quickly.
Yeah.
So
like
I don't
that
know.
busy pace. The kind of stuff you get in like London and big cities like that.
But like quiet is like, it's still, it's slow, and it takes its time, and sometimes that's not good.
Yeah, no. It's definitely like a mixture of good and bad, isn't it? And where do you think you can find silence in this world?
We were talking and we were walking somewhere together and we didn't say anything. We'd say, we walked to complete silence, but we're like, well, actually, it wasn't complete silence because there's all this noise going on around us. We almost sometimes just think that if we're not talking to people, then it's silence. I don't know. I just feel like there's never silence, really. Like, there's always something.
So would you describe yourself as more introverted?
Yes. No.
100%.
No. I don't know. Do you know what? I feel like I'm kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I think I always say I'm an extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because I like socializing, but in very specific situations.
Yeah.
When I can prepare for it. So yeah, probably more so introverted.
No.
Really? You're more extroverted?
I'm a bit of both, really. It depends on the people. The more I get to know someone, the more introvert I am. Because the more I'm just like comfortable with them, so I don't have to talk anymore.
You don't have to try.
Yeah.
I've always been more. I prefer to be on my own than in a big group.
I don't think it's about being in a big group for me. It's about being confident, but not around a big group of people. But I wouldn't say I'm introverted.
How would you describe the introvert?
I mean, introvertedness is like you're comfy within yourself, like you're friends with yourself before you're friends with the outside world. I don't know, that's the way I see it.
Well, I think of someone who's very quiet and reserved and keeps themselves. But I know that's not true because I think that I'm an introvert, but I'm not those things. I'm not quiet and reserved and keeps myself. But I think that's what people automatically think of as someone who's just... How I relate it is someone who I think relies on themselves more than anyone else. And and I think that's a thing, is like maybe someone in my situation who has trouble like opening up or trusting people right away, or even close friends, because it does take even like, my best friends, like I don't always like talk about everything that's going on and how I'm feeling, and I don't really know why, but I think it's just because like I feel like I'm the only person who can deal with it, or should deal with it.
Preach.
So real. So that's like, to me, what the introvert is like someone who, like, I'll always listen to other people's problems, but I'll never talk about my own. So I think that's how it is. It's someone who's like like your number one is always yourself, and not like in a selfish way of like putting yourself first, but just like I feel like I'm the only one that should have to deal with my own problems, or like can do. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does. Define as like being in your own solitude.
Grace. I've never thought about that. I think it's understanding what you need, understanding how you work as a person, and giving yourself that. Yeah.
What do you guys think of silence? Like, do you even think about silence?
Not a lot.
Yeah. You don't. Do you notice it, or do you like in your day? Do you find yourself always, when you are alone, do you find yourself filling your space with noise?
No. Yeah, I feel like I do feel silences quite a lot actually, and that's normally with music. I listen to a lot of music because when it's silent, I feel like my thoughts are louder. So I try to fill the gaps just so I stop thinking. So almost in a way, I'm like a bit scared of silence, just because I'm scared of my thoughts, I suppose. I probably feel quite the opposite, and I look for silence as a treat or as something to enjoy, because my day-to-day is so busy, I never find the time to find silence. I think in this world it's finding that silence is hard, because everyone is so 110% all the time, and you have to look for that moment of silence to recollect yourself and your thoughts.
Yeah. And do you think silence is something intimate?
Yes, I do. I think that once silence can only be a thing, like for my colleagues at work, it's not, silence isn't really a thing. I feel like it's always needs to be like, that gap needs to be filled when you're like fully comfortable with someone. I say like my closest friends, silence is literally doesn't bother me at all, and if anything it's better. So I definitely think that silence,
I think when you're the people you're closest with, that silence is just natural.
Yeah. And do you think those are the strongest relationships?
I think so,
Yeah, I do.
Well, they say body language, I don't know what the statistic is, but I know they say body language is like shows the way we feel way more than what we say, because we choose what we say, whereas our body language we're not always aware of it. So
what about eye contact?
Eye contact, yeah, I guess if you're constantly looking at someone and you don't kind of go off anywhere, you're really listening to what they're saying. They say, don't they, or the person feels you're paying more attention.
Do you believe in that statement that the eyes are the windows to the soul? Like, do you reckon the eyes
I guess you could. I guess the eyes don't lie. I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
Like, do you feel like the eyes talk? Like, you can kind of look into someone's eyes and you like...
I don't know, sometimes people can look really... it can be very misleading with their eyes. I don't know. I said if someone's being genuine, then yeah, I do think the eyes can be the windows to the soul. I feel like you sort of know if someone's being fake though.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're having a genuine moment with someone, then you can tell a lot by all the way they're looking at you. I'd say that for sure.
Silence effect. If you're experiencing silence in your room, how does that compare to, say, if you were experiencing silence in a huge building with people around and you were all together in silence?
I think that would be a bit daunting. I don't know if I would like that, because I feel like it would make, I feel like it would even feel a little bit claustrophobic, because I think that then this sounds a little bit like wooey, but like people's energies would be very loud then, if that makes sense.
No,
and
it's
so I don't think I've ever been in a room where things have been completely silent. Although that's not true. So, drama school, any exercises you do where you're like all in a room and you're all silent, I don't like doing those, because I just feel like you can like feel everyone's energy and it becomes a little bit like overwhelming.
And in that space, do you feel like there's this communication going on with the group?
Yeah, I mean, that's typically the aim of any game like that, isn't it? Is like you have to be silent, and then usually it's like one person moves at a time, and so you have to like feel people's. But then I think it just depends. I'm wondering what it would be like if there wasn't an objective, if we were just like in a room and you were just silent with no motive or anything. We're just like there. So I've never done that. I've always had like that objective of a game of some sort, but I don't know. It does, but it feels, I don't typically like those games, because it feels like there's a lot of pressure to kind of pay attention to the little, I don't know.
Yeah, no, completely.
If that makes sense.
It's like you're all joined in this tension.
Yeah.
You don't reply, but you're listening to me. Down on my knee. You know what I don't need, I won't compromise. Show me the path of unattaching the seeds. They're growing indeed. A rocket ship. Can you fly me to the moon? Take me there soon. A reckless place. When you're present in time, lost track of mine. Give me some space.
How's it been living in London your whole life?
I mean, get used to it. Like, you forget that you're actually living in one of the most global cities in the world. One of the global cities in the world, leading global cities in the world. And it just becomes part of you, And like, I don't know, it's the same old story when I tell people who ain't from London. I always say, like, I walk past the Big Ben and not even realise it's the Big Ben. I just see it as a clock, a tall clock. But other people see it as like a landmark, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Yeah, no, London's calm, man. London's lit.
Is it, so obviously because you've been brought up in London, you've been brought up around a lot of noise?
A lot of noise, yeah.
And what's that been like?
I mean, again, you just get used to it, but it's like when you come out of London and you go to a more like quiet and rural area, you realise, like how much more peaceful it is, how much peace you've been missing, because you're so used to like all the noise, all the fast-paced movements and that. And then when you go to somewhere like Bognor Regis, for example, or or Swindon.
Yeah,
Like
Swindon.
you do realise like how peaceful it is. So.
Yeah, for sure, man. But what is it about your own company?
I don't know. I'm very comfortable around myself. I can listen to any bad music I want and not judge myself, and I can do anything, and I can read, and I can just have weird thoughts and laugh to myself and be like, that was funny, Irene, thanks, Irene. But then after a while I need to see people, but you know.
How do you think silence affects time and space?
It kind of depends, because like some silences are so awkward, like when you've just met someone and you don't know what to say to them. Well, like, you know when you're with your friend and there's your friend and they're like, oh, I just gotta go grab this thing, like, you two wait together.
Oh, yeah, that's so awkward.
It's awful. You're like, so, you know, Grace, yeah,
It's
you
not
like
small talk.
you
You're trying
like
to fill the
foods,
space.
right? You like, yeah, and it's bad. But then, like, with my best friends, for example, like, silence is the best thing, like, and silence can mean so much as well.
If you could describe silence in like one word, or what you vision it to be, what comes to your head?
Can I say two? Two but different. Like,
course.
it's like peaceful but also inaccessible. Like,
I like that.
Because it's like, I don't know, I've never really had silence very much. Like, I have ear problems as well, so like they ring. But I don't know, I don't think I've ever experienced true
complete
silence. But I feel for me silence is more like peace of mind.
Yeah.
When I feel
it's more
peaceful
of a
silent, yeah.
That's the same way. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's more of a mental state.
I'm trying to think of one word to describe what it is that I think of. Silence is daunting.
Wow. Daunting.
Serenity. Yeah.
Have you ever felt like your voice has been silenced in society?
I'd say yes, yeah, completely. Obviously, being black, we've not always been allowed to be heard, and even now, which is really sad. I feel like there's certain situations where I have to not say anything, because if I say something, it's going to create a whole situation that I just don't have time for. And it's really sad, because we should all be allowed to have we should all be made to feel like what we say matters. But I feel like certain voices are louder than others, and in certain situations people like me are made to feel like they can't say anything, and that, you know, it's
and that's just it's so heartbreaking.
Imagine like just hating someone because of who they are, because of the colour of their skin, which, by the way, they cannot help. It's not like I can change how I look. Like, this is how I was made. Like, just, you know, love me for the way that I come to you as, you know, like.
And it's so, because of society and, like, you know, the white man, you know, and it's like, why? Obviously, I'm one of a billion million people on this planet, but I don't look at people and think like, oh, you're this, you're that. I look at you because I love you. Like, I look at you and I see you. I don't think of all the everything else. Like, exactly. I don't care what label you go as. I don't care, man. Like, I just look at you and I see, like, you, my friend.
And that's how it should be. Imagine, like, this is gonna sound so silly, but imagine like a present and you're like, oh, the wrapping paper is disgusting, like, I don't want this present, like, I'm gonna judge this present, but you haven't opened it. You haven't opened the inside to see what the present is.
This girl with her metaphors. I'm telling you, her metaphors, when I say her metaphors are on point, they're on point.
No, but it's true, like, open the present. Don't care about the wrapping paper.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
That phrase is so real though. I don't.
Save me, I'm falling. Save me, I'm falling. Save me, I'm falling.
Do you think that silence talks? Do you think it speaks?
Yes. Because sometimes you can use silence as a way of speaking, and it can also force the other person to speak. So I think it's powerful. Yeah, I agree. I think silence, like almost like a conversation's happening, but no one's speaking. It's kind of like when there's a silence with someone, it's almost like your minds are kind of talking, not necessarily you're physically talking.
And in what ways do you feel like when you are silenced with someone and you're speaking, in what ways do you speak? Like
Eye
how?
contact or body language. Yeah, I think those are the main ways of communicating without speaking.
And do you think that's important? Even if you are speaking, those kind of things, do they say a lot? The way
Absolutely, yeah.
the way people's eyes wander, the way people's body language is.
It's almost critical in understanding the way someone is trying to say what they're trying to say.
About like your phone and like social media, and even if you are in a silence and you're looking on social media and
It's so
stuff,
loud.
Yeah, and can you explain a bit about how you feel about that? Like how is that loud?
I think that's interesting because if you're looking at your phone and looking on social media, you're technically not hearing anything. So it's all it's stuff you're reading and taking in, and I think that's quite loud in itself when you're hearing a lot of, or you're not hearing it, you're reading a lot of people's views and opinions. You're taking those words in, it can be loud.
Yeah.
When there's a lot of conflicting information and thoughts.
It's hard to process.
Yeah, and sometimes you feel like you need a break from it. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that when I'm like, especially on going through social media, like I feel like my thoughts are just so much louder, and as soon as I turn my phone off, like I turn my phone off quite a lot, and like I can just feel my like head just clearing and just less thoughts going through, and it just it's so important to have that, like have silence, like full on silence, like with your thoughts. I think that's so important. Everyone needs that.
I think it's just a thing where people can't see how powerful it is to be quiet. It all depends, really. It depends how you use that silence. It all depends on how you use silence. If you use it, for example, if you meditate, like you're taking time out of your day to come back to yourself. Like it just depends on how you use time and like the people you're with, like how you use silence with the people you're around. Like you could use it in a good way or a bad way. You could use it as a way of respect. You can use it in a malicious way to feel like you're punishing somebody.
Yeah, like a power move.
Like a power move. Yeah, like you just feel like you can just use it. You can use it in a variety of ways. So like it all depends on how you use silence, which affects time and space.
Do you when you think of God and your relationship with God, do you associate it with silence?
Yes, I would say so. I think in prayer, I think I have to silence my mind and like the things that I'm thinking about, and the things that I'm worrying about before I can come to God. I feel like if I'm busy in my mind, and even like here, like physically, I feel like I can't really be present.
I'm the fallen astronaut. Did you not see me? Did you not see me? I fell into this world. And I fell into this world. You see, space is silent. This world is so. This world is shut. Present the space that I miss. Present the space that I miss. See the space that you are. See the space that you miss. Time to go high. Time has let you know. Time to go. Time to go.
Behind the scenes and that. If I speak, 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15.
Alright, so if you want to get me hat on, I look like
She's not ready.
Wait, what's my hair saying? Is it like, do I need to zhuzh it up?
real one. Are you ready for this? Oh, give it up now. No, but keep. But I gotta go.
I love G.O.D. I love my God.
I love G.O.D. I love my God.
Just fixing up in there.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't know.
In what ways? Do you remember when I used to film hands?
Oh, I used to film, you filmed Mary's hands and when we were like 12 in a music video. It was really weird. You filmed my hands, you'd film like my chin. I don't know what you just loved close-ups of body parts. You really did. I wonder if that'll be your style.
Yeah,
just
it
eyeballs, hands, boobs, feet.
Feet. Ew. Scream.
Screaming.
Just scream, no one cares.
Maybe get a few like still shots, like.
Alright. Yeah, it's recording anyway.
Shadow looks cool. Stay there.
It's always recording.
Irene. Hi, Pete. Just that hair flick.
Okay, well, should we?
You mad?
No, are you?
Stay tuned.